Okay, so it's 16 minutes past 9 a.m. and we are saying welcome to the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM, the seriously authentic radio station transmitted from Onitsha, Anambra State. We are glad to have you join us on today's program, being Tuesday, the 2nd of June, 2026, and we're glad to have you there. We have a lot of things to bring to your knowledge this very morning because the front pages of newspapers are awash with stories. And outside the stories contained on the front pages of the newspaper, there are other developments in the polity that we're going to bring to your knowledge this very morning. So we ask you to stay with us as we bring you the headlines and the analysis on today's program. My name is Frank Nilbukan. To remind you that we also live on our Facebook page, Udala Radio 104.7 FM. If you want to follow what we are happening, what is happening here outside the terrestrial coverage of the radio, the Facebook is there as a platform for you to join. It's also a platform for you to air your view on this very program. You can as well join us using our YouTube and Instagram channels, Udala Radio on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to that very page so that each time we post a video, you'll be able to get a notification and follow suit. Thank you this very morning for waking up with us, and we are going to bring you the headlines shortly. So, okay, this very morning on the Polity, we have a lot to bring to your knowledge. And the issue about the voter registration ongoing is going to come on board because we have a reporter out there. By the time he gets to those destinations, he's going to feed us in on development there, whether we have INEC officials there or not. Then in Anambra State, the state has been in the news since Sunday. No thanks to the security breach that was recorded somewhere in Orumba North, local government area of Anambra State. There was an attack on a convoy of an aide to the governor, and 2 policemen were killed in the process, likewise 2 civilians. So in total, 4 persons were killed in that very attack, and the state police command has launched a manhunt for the killers. And this very morning too, we saw a press statement coming from the Anambra State government, signed by the Commissioner for Information and the Orientation, Dr. Lomefo, where he said the state government is going to do everything possible to ensure that those behind the attack are tracked down. If you live there, you go to Ekiti State yesterday, we saw former governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose, who was on television, and he accused the Oyo State governor, Sheyi Makinde, that he was the person behind the kidnapping of Oyo school children who have been in custody. That same yesterday, Babachi Lawa, former SGF, he resigned from ADC, and he threw a bomb on Atiku where he accused him of rigging the ADC primary election. And like in the Baisekunadna, Onwadi Ejebonu Balaka, the camp of Atiku has replied him, we are going to bring you all those things. Then we also saw this very widening division among the opposition political parties. As we speak, there are 22 political parties in Nigeria, and 11 of them have decided to field presidential candidates as we speak. Others might field later, but now we have 11 of those parties who are fielding their presidential candidates. And these are opposition parties who had a summit somewhere in Oyo and said they are going to work together to ensure that they get to defeat the incumbent. Now look at where they are tilting towards. All these things and more are going to come on today's program, so we ask you to stay with us as the program begins now in earnest. So let's bring aboard the analyst, Attorney Sambeki. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Franklin. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, the good people of Southeast. Good morning, in the Anambra. Good morning, in the Onisha Donido. Good morning, in the Osumu. Good morning, everyone under the reach of our voice. Good morning, in the Olwaka, in the Afia, in the Nkozi teachers. You know, they are in the morning period. They are mourning the abduction and kidnapping of one of their own. Oh, we sympathize with them, the teachers. We also say good morning to people of goodwill. There are many people who want this country to be better, no matter what. We respect our elders, the religious and traditional rulers, and also religious and traditional leaders. We also respect everyone who is committed to doing good. Our youth, because when we say they are the future of today, that is paradoxical statement. You know, before now you hear the youth are the future, and then we are talking about them being the today. They are the today, not more the future. We also acknowledge the works of different agencies, the security agencies. You have been trying, but Nigerians are crying for more, saying that your efforts are not enough. That is what it's like. Yes, there are some of you that are putting in good measures, efforts, but Nigerians are unsafe. We thank God Almighty for a day like this. Today being the second day in the month of June, the miracle of waking up every morning. This is our sanctuary. This is our altar where we profess the truth. And we're back in our sanctuary to profess the truth in a way that it may not please you. Just sit back and enjoy the program.
Okay, so yesterday, the FCT minister, as usual, I'm talking about Nyesom Wike, he held his monthly media briefing, and from what we counted about 8 to 9 media houses who covered that very press briefing, and this has lasted for some time now. At least he has done this for not less than 7 months, and people are beginning to ask questions about the money he uses to fund this, because what happens at the media briefing is that he uses the platform to blast all his political opponents, not about communicating what is happening in the FCT. And people are asking questions about the issue of accountability and the financial or fiscal responsibility in government. That same yesterday, we also saw an offshoot of what has been a call out on Lere Olayinka, who happens to be an aide to the minister. You know, 2 to 3 days ago, he put out something on social media where he released the information regarding Emekike's voter registration. He was saying that Emekike registered in Imo State, but he was coming to FCT to vie for a position. Now, the information he put out was an information gotten from my INEC website. And people are asking questions. How was he able to have that access to be able to bring out that very information? These things have been in the news since 2 days ago till now, Tony.
Well, for me, if you talk about that issue, that shouldn't even be our worry anyway. But for the sake of the virality of the issue, for you to get information about anybody's information on INEC server, it's very simple. All you need to do is to have the requisite registration number, the phone number, and certain things. Once you impute it, the information will come out. Many Nigerians should know that it is very possible. Just go to, I've tried that many times, just go to INEC website, where you believe is the registration area. There are information that you'll be requested to put in. If you can get at least 2 or 3 of those information, you can get the place where the person registered. It's very simple for me. But outside that, these are not our worries. But if you are talking about the FCT minister, we know him very well. Nobody is taking audits of how AFCT lands are being sold and allocated. I think we have to begin from there. A particular land in FCT will cost as high as 500 million. There are the ones that cost 1 billion. There are ones that cost 200 million. And he is the one sitting on such assets. And you are asking, frankly, where does he get such money? Somebody who can revoke licenses, someone who can also issue licenses, and there are those who would also want certain entitlements, lands in some areas. And you'll be told what to be paid. Who takes accountability that there is a threshold of what to be paid, and this is the procedure? Everything about land allocation and land distribution in Abuja is shrouded in opacity. Shrouded in opacity. You can't just say that it is this or it is that. Each day they come up with a new policy. Policy not backed by law. And I have said many times, the National Assembly entitled to make laws for the good government of FCT, they have been slumbering. They have been sleeping. And that is why they allow Wicked to do whatever he wants to do and get away with it. Ordinarily, they could have used law, legislation, to put him where he should be. He has overriding powers. The Minister of FCT has no executive power. Let's be sincere about it. Whatever executive power he may think he has is the one that must be delegated to him by the President. But we have seen him waxing such powers, even when not delegated to by the President. But the President is mute on some of these things, and that's why he's doing what he's doing. We've seen where people have cried foul of their lands many years, where he revoked the licenses, reallocated his lands to friends and cronies and those who may have paid a stipulated amount, which may run in billions. How much is the media shout? That media shout will cost him plus or minus 200 million every month. And what is 200 million to somebody like Nyesom Wike, who can make billions daily? It's important we look at it from the other angle. The truth is that
the other angle you're talking about is that where is the money coming from? Is this his personal money, or
it's not going to be his personal money,
or public fund that he chooses how to spend?
The truth is, public funds generated inappropriately. Let me put it that way. Inappropriately. Do we have a template or a database of how lands are distributed in Abuja? What is the Geo-Information Service system in Abuja? Does he has the power to allocate lands without the imprimatur of the President? Mr. President is not looking in all of this, because he is there to execute whatever policy programs Mr. President must have come up with. And there are some policy programs that must be backed by legislation. These things are not done. Of course, FCT is governed arbitrarily, let me put it that way. FCT is not a pilot, and that is why he has access to funds and resources. Because the first time he became the FCT minister, he told me, the president, that he wants FCT to be detached from civil service system, where they can generate their own revenue, where they can also distribute this revenue, where they can embark on projects. And Mr. President approved that, remember? And once Mr. President approved that FCT can truly stand independent, that is where the whole problem started. He is not accounting to any agency of government except Mr. President. And when Mr. President is not interested or is not even much interested in knowing what is going on, it becomes his own property. So for now, if I may say, FCT is the property of Nyesom Wike. No minister of FCT has the kind of power he has presently. No minister has ever had the kind of power he enjoys. And you ask, where is the money coming from? It's very simple. The levies, the taxes, he collects FCT taxes. He collects revenues. He collects money in different folds for different entities. He does, and he collects this money, and this money comes to him. And let me be very frank with you. As he does this, nobody challenges the accountability, the audit, how these things is done. Which agency is actually checkmating or trying to fact check or ensure or to maintain the conformity or the compliance of certain principles or certain laid laws? He is the lawmaker. He is the law executor. He is the lawbreaker. One man. Let's not bother ourselves. By the time we want to clean the audience table, there are so many anomalies as far as FCT is concerned, and there are some things that must be done to show accountability. People like him wouldn't want to be accountable to anybody. They would want to have access to funds so they can do whatever they want to do and get away with it.
Now, from the records available, which was put out by his media aide, Lera Olayinka, they had 12 media houses that carried that very media chart. 10 of them television stations, and then 8 of them radio stations. So you can do your calculation. By the way, he announced that he's going to do 31 days project commissioning on behalf of the president, and it's going to start by June. So he's almost going to repeat what he did in the past.
Another fella, fair.
Exactly.
Expected.
So we're going to see another round of spending of public funds in a manner that he deems fit,
and he will use it for campaign. He has started his own campaign, because project commissioning for Yeson Wike is campaign. And if you look at it, INEC will not say anything when we know that campaigns are not officially declared open. But he's going to use it for campaigns, and we're going to see how that will work out. Fair this is a country where project commissioning is equivalent to the amount spent for the project itself. That is profligacy, wastefulness. That's what we witness. But for them, it is politics. Let's go on.
Okay, so we're going to go to the headlines now and bring you what we have on the front pages of the newspaper. Stay with us. Okay, so on the front pages this very morning, we have 4 newspapers for review, and we begin with the headlines we have on the Guardian newspaper. The big story there is on page 6. It says party primaries, divided opposition rejigs 2027 polls, line up 11 presidential candidates. You can see some of their faces. Sheyi Makinde, you can see the face of Gula Jonathan, the face of Debayo of SDP, Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar, and others. Other story on page 3 or the front page of Guardian says APC ticket, Tinubu gives fight for control of 2027 NAS list. Tinubu governors fight for control of 2027 NAS list on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. On page 7, Tinubu louds Navy's professionalism as Abbas inaugurates maritime task force. Then on page 30, the story there says gunmen kill 8 in Plateau, Kogi bans festival after deadly violence. Another story on page 5 says Lagos State government laments surge in domestic violence, records 6,753 cases in 2025. Then on page 5, NAD threatens nationwide strike over assault on doctors. And on page 30 of the Guardian, raps to probe 250 billion naira housing fund over transparency, delivery concerns. And another headline we have there is about this unending court case involving Nest Oil. So we'll leave that out and get to the next paper, which is Vanguard newspaper. The big story there says protest rocks Oyo, Ogun over abduction of teacher students. That story has plenty of writers, but you can read the story on the front page on page 5 or from Vanguard. You see picture story of those who were on that very protest. Some of them were done in the cap of Omoyele Shore and the code, that their yellow cap. Then another headline says abductions, Oshun calls emergency meeting over border school safety on page 10. This one says Middle East war, Iran suspends talk with US over Israeli attacks in Lebanon on page 9. Saraki versus Turaki, PDP crisis escalates in Kwara, produces 2 governorship candidates on page 29. Above the nameplate, CBN unveils payment system visions. Okay, CBN unveils payment system vision 2028 on page 19. 2027, Atiku ex SGF Bika over outcome of ADC presidential primary. That's on page 9. On page 8, courts terrorist arms. Cut terrorist arms supply. End attacks, says Northern Christians. We are working to rescue kidnapped retired Major General Abubakar, DHQ, on page 9 of Vanguard newspaper. Then on Daily Sun, the big story there says bloodbath in Plateau, Anambra, Kogi, Niger. That story can be found on pages 4 and 27. Then the writers there say traditional ruler, 8 others killed, 10 injured in fresh Plateau attacks. Gunmen kill 2 policemen in Anambra. In Kogi, 2 die in soldiers' masquerade clash. Another killed. Gunmen abduct 30. Head of vigilante die as joint security task force kills over 200 terrorists. Tinubu hails Nigerian Navy as Africa's most formidable maritime force. Commissions 3 new vessels on page 7. Wike mocks opposition over primary crisis in parties. I think it was yesterday that he copied to be a Mama Put politician, saying that he goes to where the food is ready. Okay, another headline says Delta leaders threaten to drag in next chairman to NJC. Allege external interference in delineation crisis on page 27. Ex-Senate President Wabara urges Nigerians to unite against bad leadership on page 26 of Daily Sun. NEU PRC operation shut as oil workers begin strike over stoppage of foreign training. The story is on page 25 of Daily Sun newspaper. Then we look at this very political headline that says ADC primary, Babachir Lawal resigns, accuses party Atiku of manipulating presidential primary. Hayatuddin rules out court action, calls for united opposition. That story is on page 27. Oyo abduction. Public schools grounded as teachers comply with strike. Massive protest in Ibadan, Abeokuta. That story is on the front page of Daily Sun newspaper. And the last headline, or the last paper we have this very morning, is Punch newspaper. NCDC launches 21-day Ebola watch for exposed travelers on page 7. Petrol price soars 643% in 3 years on page 8. 2027 poll, CBN targets 2.83 trillion naira cash in private hands. That story is on page 24. School abductions, protests in Oyo, Ogun as NUT begins nationwide rally today. On page 2, the writer says Oyo Public School short as CSOs demand abductees release. Ogun residents fear spillover. Nigeria's blackout persists despite $2.6 billion World Bank loans. Report on page 24. FG scraps 3-month seminar leave for civil servant on page 7 of the Punch newspaper. These are the headlines we have. Then if you check all the papers this very morning, you will see the headlines about what happened in Anambra State. For instance, if you check The Guardian, you see the headline. It says Anambra CP issues 48 hours to fish out cop killers. Soludo's aid attackers. Then Punch says Anambra police launches manhunt after 2 officers killed. These are the headlines you will see this very morning. So we're going to begin the analysis shortly. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Polity. Get involved now. You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
Okay, thank you for staying tuned to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. You're listening to The Polity this Tuesday morning, the 2nd day of June 2026. My name is Franklin Ebekatonio Lisambeki on the analysis desk, and we have to begin with the conversation this very morning. And we are beginning from Anambra State, where yesterday it was everywhere in the media that 2 police officers were killed. They were ambushed on this very road that was recently commissioned by the Anambra State Governor, and 2 of them were killed. Then 2 civilians were also killed. If you check social media, you see the video trending, and from what we gathered, it was the convoy of Chief of Staff to the Governor of Anambra State, Chief Ben Nwankwo, that was attacked, and in the process, 2 security operatives or 2 security men, specifically policemen, were gunned down in that very process. If you look at the video is so gory to watch, because if you see what bullet did to these very people, you see the stain of blood everywhere on the ground. And this happened in the night. From reports available to us, happened between 8 and 9 p.m. And that was the day that the Anglican Diocese had synod in Ezira in November, not local government of Anambra State. And since then, we have seen different reactions. The police has reacted, giving an order that people who were involved should be hunted down. And also from Anambra State government, there was a press meeting that came this very morning from the Commissioner for Information, where he said that the state government is going to ensure that the people behind the killings would be hunted down. So Tony, under breach of security, when we thought that we were coasting home to have peace in Anambra State, and then these men of the underworld struck, and this time around they struck at a very strategic point, so to say, and they hit the nerve of the state government. Tony.
Well, we actually didn't see this coming, but this to tell you the extent of insecurity ravaging Nigeria as a whole. And every state has its own share. Even when we thought that it is less in Anambra State, that's what many people thought, because ordinarily, if it was intense, the chief of staff wouldn't have been coming back at that time of the night. It was because we are told that he was coming back from Abo. Abo is in Orumba South, local government area, where he had visited, because that area is his home. But there are many accounts to this very story. But we can take any of the accounts, as we have seen so far. While he was coming back, one of the accounts says that he was not actually with the healers that carried the security officials. He was some meters away away from the healers, that he got to a checkpoint, that these people mounted a checkpoint. That was one of the accounts, that they mounted a checkpoint. And when he got to that checkpoint, there was this House of Assembly member. We are told that these people had stopped at the checkpoint.
Yeah, they were known as into Japan.
Into Japan.
Okay.
So that's one of the accounts, that these kidnappers, they wore police uniform, they wore army uniform, and they put up a checkpoint, and they flagged down the State House of Assembly member, trying to see if they can negotiate anything out of him. And the State Assembly member, possibly the Chief of Staff, got to know that this State Assembly member, this House member, was entrapped at that checkpoint. He stopped at the checkpoint. The moment he stopped to talk with these boys, hoping or thinking they were real security agents, because they were wearing police and army uniform. He was talking to these people with the belief, with the thought that they were doing legitimate business, legitimate duty. But over the time, these people were not obliged to the request that they should allow the House member to go, because he asked them that they should allow the House member to go, owing to the fact that it was late and all that. But they were talking to him professionally as police and military men. But immediately his convoy, maybe the healers that was carrying his security orderlies arrived at that checkpoint. These people sighted policemen and opened fire immediately at the police officers they sighted inside a Hilux vehicle. At that point, he ran away. Because for him, how could police and military men open fire on another set of police officers? There is no SPD in the car. And that was at the point it dawned on him that these people were kidnappers. And they killed the 2 police officers and also killed one of the staff that was in the vehicle, and other staff as well. So 4 persons were killed in the process. That's just one of the accounts. The other accounts have it that they arrived at the checkpoint on sighting the police officers. These people opened fire, that he was not in that vehicle the police officers were. So his driver was quick to drive in a rugged manner. So the 2 accounts are that the whole incident happened at the checkpoint. But the difference in the 2 accounts, the difference was that they arrived together. The other account had it that he first arrived where the house member was actually flagged down by these people. That was the 2 accounts. I mean, these were the 2 accounts. These were the 2 accounts anyway. So the point that we are trying to make here is this. Remember the other day I said it, that we have people these days that go around the states. They move from Anambra to Abia through that Orumba Azix. They also move from Anambra to Imo through Akokwa Azix and even through Iyala Azix. They also move to Enugu State through Onitsha Enugu Expressway Azix. So the point is, they wear army camouflage, they wear police uniform. I was saying it the other day. But one of the things that we should also watch out, they wear slippers, these bedroom slippers. They wear these palm slippers. They don't keep very well. But they wear these camouflage, army camouflage, the trouser, and possibly the top. And they move around. And they have beards. Sometimes they are well bearded. They have beards. And the issue is, they are trying to deceive unsuspecting members of the public that they are police and military officers. You don't even know they are kidnappers. That's more reason why we've said here in Anambra State, every police officer, every military man must wear a name tag. We cannot continue in this confusion. How would you tell unsuspecting members of the public to know or even to discern who is real and who is not real? I don't even understand me. These people, they have changed their tactics. And another incident, and another thing we also got was, some of them are not even from Southeast. They are not from Southeast. And we also have information that the same pattern is something that is going on in some part of South. In Edo State, for instance. They move with halos or white halos. They mount checkpoints, and it's one of their distinguishing features. They do mount checkpoints. They approach you as military men or police officers. You wouldn't know that they are kidnappers. They are not. And they do stop and search operation. They will be doing some work where you will even think they are police officers. They will stop you, search you, and ask you to go. Once they detect or they note that you are somebody they can easily kidnap, they will ask you to enter their waiting vehicle. Once you enter their waiting vehicle, they will just go straight to the bush and tell you that they are kidnappers and demand ransom payment. That is the new pattern. People should be very careful. Not every policeman, not every military man you see on the road is a real police officer. They have changed another style. The new style is wearing police and military uniform, whereas they are not. We must be very careful. If not for one thing or the other, probably they would have killed the chief of staff to Mr. Governor, Dr. Ben Wanko. Because if you are to take one of the accounts where he had stopped, came down from the vehicle, started talking with them, as we are told, now, only for them to cite police officers. Immediately they cited the police officers coming from the hills, they opened fire, and we are told that at that moment, the driver picked him out and then they ran away. This is a new pattern. Very, very disturbing. Very, very troubling. We cannot allow this.
Okay, so just to give out some of the flat facts we know about this very thing, because it happened on Sunday night along the Amansi Ndiora Ndukwenu Awa Ufuma Road, and this is in Orumba South, not North, as I said before. Orumba South, local government area of Anambra State, and this very road in question was constructed by the governor of Anambra State and commissioned. We get that road is always lonely, and most of the times. Now, so Tony, from what we have gathered now, the attack was on the convoy of Chief Ben Nwankwo, who is the chief of staff to the governor of Anambra State, when he was coming back to Oka after having an event and what have you not. I read one report from somebody who claimed that he was at that synod, which was held in Ezira. He said he didn't stay there till the end of it because he was having insecurity at the back of his mind, because that area, that Orumba South area, has a record, or it has a history when you talk about insecurity. He mentioned some towns in that area that were once occupied by these gunmen who were said to be unknown. And he said it was his instinct that told him that he shouldn't stay there too late because that area is somehow vulnerable, and he left. Look at what he said. He said he was calculating that for the fact that the governor would be there, that there's going to be, the men on the underworld, we know that government officials are going to be there. So if they want to target anybody, they might decide to ambush anybody on a lonely place. And for him, he knew that the moment governor will be there will be high security. But once the governor leaves there, places can become porous, and that was why he left there early enough before this very thing happened. But now let's look at what the issue is. For a long time, we haven't heard about this kind of incident. And now we are having men of the underworld mounting roadblocks, like the police does, or like the military does, or like Agone Chamber does. And this time around, they also dress in police uniform. Now the issue now is, since this has become a pattern, what should the police be thinking about on how to nip this in the bud? Because if it's non-handled, people are going to run into these men of the underworld and think that they are security personnel. What should be done at this point, or what should security managers be thinking about now on how to ensure that people will be able to identify genuine policemen when they are on a roadblock?
That's the point, because there's no way Nigerians will be able to decipher who is a genuine police officer or not, or police checking points or not, because the Inspector General of Police have said many times that police officers should not grow beards, but many of them are still growing beards. And we are told that these people, they usually have beards, they are bearded. And there are also police officers that grow beards, so how would you know the difference? And there are so many police officers that do not even wear their correct, or they don't even wear any name tag. And we see many of them dress casually, even while on official duty. And these people also dress casually. You'll find out that these people just mimicked their dressing pattern to perpetrate this heinous crime. Having said this, yes, you talked about the MNC Ntokondi Ukwenu Awa Ufuma Road, because I know that road was commissioned by Soludo in 2024. It was, I think, in the middle of 2024, if I can still remember. 26.4 kilometers long, that links communities in Oka North, Orumba North. And because before now, these communities were previously difficult to access because the road runs through these areas. And if you can also understand that there is also this Ezira Umuomako, Enugo Umuonia, Achina Road is also part of the ring road. The Ajali Abu Ufuma, North Fija, Obunka Road, even Achina One, Oboji Road, and even Mbuku, Obu, Ametiti, Obeze, Ndukwenu Road. And we have got so many of these roads. But one thing you should also be very care to know is that these roads are mostly lonely. I have plied these roads. During the day, they are mostly lonely. But they are very important links to some of these communities because you cannot cut them off. I have said many times that Orumba axis seems to be top notch. The safe haven for these kidnappers? Yes. I'm so much concerned because if you talk about Ezira, because that's the area where the synod took place. The synod took place in Ezira. And I'm also aware that the governor was there. Just as you said, the chief of staff was also there, the Anglican synod. And we know very well there are towns surrounding this very town. You have Umunze, you have Isulo, you also have Eziago, Enugbonya, Umuchu, Achena. These are some towns I can recall that surround this area. And we know some of them are in Aguata local government, some are also in Orumba South, and there are also those that are also in Orumba North. The truth remains that we must fortify security around Orumba North and Orumba South. We must fortify security. The Agune Chamber operatives must be deployed more in those areas. There were times, sometimes we'll be plying some of these roads in those areas. They'll be lonely. And during the time of the reign of terror in Anambra State, some of these towns were greatly affected, greatly devastated. They were just being there for being their sake. Let me say this, because they were not quite secure during those periods. But we thought that Agune Chamber must have done something in those areas. And camps were destroyed, no doubt. Many camps, especially around Obunka Azix. Many camps were destroyed. You have Ewere Zukala, Axis. Many camps in those areas were destroyed. And when we think it is over, it is not over, because these towns around this area connect to Abia State, connect to Enugu State. There is connectivity. I remember during the governorship election, by-election in Anambra State, the one that happened around September last year, there was an Abga agent that was killed around that border area. It is important that we must ensure more security in these areas. I'm somewhat disturbed because if you look at these two policemen they were brutally murdered. And from the video clip I watched, there were vigilantes that came to that scene, approached that scene sometime, maybe some minutes after the incident happened, and one of them was picking the bullet without even wearing gloves. He never knew that you don't touch such thing. You must wear something, because there will be forensic examination. By the time forensic examination will be conducted, their fingerprint will be captured. And how do you explain that? The only thing that will also save him will be that he was on camera. You don't touch things at the scene of either crime or violent incident or violence. You don't touch items there.
That's where the issue of that training we talk about comes in, because some of them don't even have this very training on how to approach a crime scene.
No.
What you should do and what you should not do. So it boils down to that same conversation around having the best of training for our security operative. But Tony, from what happened, does that suggest that we went to bed, or it could be put in the realm of one of those security breaches that can happen at any point in time?
Remember I have said it. There is no way in the world such security breach cannot happen. There is no way in the world. But we have seen this the time the convoy of Ngige was attacked. They thought it was the one there, but we saw how prompt the security operatives were to ensure that the criminals, the kidnappers, were later killed, and they displayed many of them. And the one that was alive also confessed that they were the one that attacked the convoy of Krisigi along that Nobi road, that Isaacs. We saw that as a breach, and efforts were made, and we had seen another breach where there was immediate response by the security operatives. So we are also hoping that there will be immediate response to this. Just like I said, why this very axis is very delicate is the fact that there is a route from Obonanka, you enter to Oji River. There is also another route from Umunze, you enter Isuochi. Isuochi is in Abia State. You enter from Isuochi to Lopanta, or even Okigwe corridor. These ones are connected to different states, and a lot of things happen around the border. You may think that your own part of the border line is secure, but they can come in and leave immediately. Why these corridors are precarious or porous as the case may be, will be because of the border system. So there will be a need for Anambra State government to have this coordination with Enugu State government and Abia State government around that axis. No government can achieve maximum security around the borderline. You cannot. I would prefer situations where the governor of Anambra State find a way to meet with the governor of Enugu and governor of Abia State to strengthen security around that border. If there will be a joint security vigilante around the border area, at least it will give communities around that area that the hope and belief that they are secured. I have seen situations where people will be going for functions, events. If they're moving if they have flashy cars, they go in convoy. They will go and hire military patrol protection. I have seen people do it, civilians. Once they have any event that would make them pass through Umunze, enter Abia State, Isuochi, Lopanta, there was one event, so they have to hire army and police patrol protection, and they move in convoy. Everybody, once they want to leave the scene, they also move in convoy. How many times will we continue like this? I would say that Agone Chamber, in fact, we have Ibubagu in Imo State. I don't know how they have been doing their work. I can't say because I'm not in Imo State. In Enugu State, I know we have forest guard. We have forest guards in Enugu State. I don't know how they have been doing their work. There is need to fortify security around that area. And for that incident, it happened to these people may not have known that a man who was with them could have been chief of staff. They may not have known. They may not have, because they mounted a checkpoint. They were actually waiting for a big fish to kidnap. What spoiled the business? They could have also kidnapped the chief of staff because he was in their den already. What saved him was the sighting of police officers. They did, which prompted them to open fire on them because they thought that police officers would immediately know that they are not the real police officers. The moment they sighted the police officers, they opened fire. That was what saved the day. But 4 persons paid the supreme price. 4 persons paid the supreme price. It was one of the narrow escapes I've seen. One of the narrow escapes I've seen. The chief of staff was actually in their den. I don't see the possibility of them letting him go. They may not have, but what made him to have his way could have been the sighting of police officers that made them to open fire, that also distracted the whole scenario where he had to move on.
All right. So it's like a wake-up call to all of us too. For us to also know that we have to be vigilant and then pay attention to people we see mounting roadblocks so that we don't run into the hands of the men on the underworld. Perhaps we'll try to also link up with the police if they can educate people on how to spot genuine policemen on the road, because this very morning we tried to speak with the retired police officer to take us through this, but due to one thing or the other, he couldn't come on board. Now we are going to switch gears and talk about the ongoing voter registration. It's going to be quick and smooth, and then we get to transition to other things because we have Ben on the field. We want him to give us a feed regarding what he has observed from the places he went to see how the ongoing voter registration is ongoing, because this is the 3rd phase of this voter registration. For what INEC said that this 3rd phase began in May and is going to end by July 10 this year. Those who have turned 18 need to be out there to do what is necessary. So Ben, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Frankie. Good morning, the people of Anambra State. Good morning, Ogadagidi. Good morning, Chisom. Good morning, the people of Nigeria.
Okay, so Ben, so far, can you fill us in on what you've been able to do this very morning regarding the ongoing voter registration?
Currently, I am in Ward 7 as regards to this ongoing voters registration, but unfortunately, nothing is happening here. And I asked someone, and he directed me across the Ward 7, and I met a man there whom I eventually spoke with on camera, and he said that nothing of such taking place here. And equally, right now, I am with a concerned citizen who equally testified, though she pleaded for her name not to be mentioned. She equally testified that nothing of such is taking place here, and they don't know the reason why it is so.
Okay, so the person you spoke to, did he identify who he is?
Yes. Yeah, his name is Mr. Afam, and he has been doing such, in the past here. But according to him, he said he has no idea, no notification of such. That in fact, he has zero knowledge as regards to this.
Okay, so I think our next port of call will now be to head straight to
the headquarters.
Exactly, on each and not local government area, so that we get to see. So that let's now confirm whether it's limited to only the headquarters of local government for this registration, because from what INEC put out, they said registration happens between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. every day. So we need to get to the root of this to know what is actually happening, whether INEC people are out there or not.
Okay.
So by the time you get to the local government headquarters, of course, try to fill us in so that we get to know what is happening there.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Byrne. Okay, so Tony, this is out of the way. Of course, trying to do our CSR and fathom or find out what is happening with the ongoing voter registration. Let's not talk about what happened yesterday. From nowhere, former SGF, talking about former secretary to the government of the federation, I'm talking about Babachi David Lawal. From nowhere, he put out a statement on his Facebook page, and he titled it The Kachara Series Part 1. In this very report, he talked about how the concluded primary election of the ADC was rigged in favor of Atiku Abubakar, and he used the title Kachala to describe him. And for him, he said that everything was made to favor him. And he believed that other than Atiku to win, that is better that Nigerians continue with the incumbent president. And he said a whole lot of things, Tony. So looking at that thing he put out, what does that speak to politically, Tony?
Well, Babashi Lawal stirred the political ecosystem yesterday. He made very stating comments against the person of Atiku. And we asked, were they not the ones that were congregating in ADC, telling Nigerians that ADC is the new alternative, is the new platform? They were all together, and we all predicted that there would be implosion. We saw when they were congregating, we saw likes of Atiku, Amechi, P2B, Arebochola, David Mark, El-Rufai, many of them. They say that they have to come together to produce one single candidate that will challenge Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the general election. And we asked, who will step down for each other? Because they all have the same interest. They all have the same ambition. And we maintain that if there is one man that cannot change his ambition, and we say that person is Atiku Abubakar. For him, he sees this period as his last card. Because we know very well that he will be 80 any moment from now. And where he sees this as his last card, he cannot in any way turn things around. Especially when it comes to providing that very one candidate that will challenge the president and the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And before you know it, it seems that P2B had a foresight of what was to come, knowing fully well that whether you go direct or whether you go to delegate primaries, there is one man that is a specialist in primary elections. The last he was defeated in primary election was in 2015. Since 2015, Atiku had faced different primaries and won. The one of 2019 he won, the one of 2023 he won, and the one of 2026 he also won. Specialist in primary elections. How he does it, nobody knows. Sometimes people will say he does dollarize the primary. He goes on to bribe every Tom, Dick, and Harry, and he set the ball rolling that he has got so many mercenaries that do these things for him. These are allegations anyway. Now, where the momentum was actually shifting towards P2B, and where obedience we are not settling for vice presidential slots, because what we thought was P2B was going to be a running mate to Atiku Abubakar, who is, predetermined to win that primaries in many ways. But the obedient movement said they were not settling for anything running mates, and that also prompted Obi to shift gear, because he must do things in a way that the movement that supports him would also accept. If he does otherwise, he may lose good number of them. That aside, and then Seriake Dixon provided a platform for them to move on and get into NDC, as we've seen. Amechi and the Atiku started, because Amechi started saying a number of things against Obi. He did not attack Atiku. When Obi was there, Amechi started attacking Obi, but immediately Obi left. Amechi did not attack Atiku. From every of the thing I've checked, he did not. But he went into the primary, as usual, defeated. He said the primary was rigged. And what was David Babachiola thinking before now? What was he thinking? Was he thinking Amechi could have won? If he had thought so, probably it shows that he has no deep experience in this game. The only person that may have challenged Atiku would have been Obi in that primaries, not Amechi. I've seen Amechi as a featherweight politician. Now, that primaries, we see Hayatuddin. And Hayatuddin, for many people, they don't even know him. And they opted for direct primaries. And direct primaries ordinarily would have been situations where there will be counting by registered. There will be counting of registered members of the party who may have queued behind their preferred aspirants. But let no one be deceived. We cannot have this kind of direct primaries again.
Now, it seems like Babachiola was favoring Hayatuddin to emerge as a presidential candidate of the ADC. Look at the last statement he made in that his speech. Said, then it will be bye-bye to the octogenarian presidential wannabe. It will be bye-bye to the North for preferring a religious hegemonist over a competent, world-renowned economist and corporate guru. And now, perhaps he was thinking about, but let's look at the other area where he described the choices or the choice before Nigerians in 2027 as a Muton's fork. Tony, if you check the meaning of Muton's fork, what that simply means is that, you are left in a kind of false dilemma in which two contradictory, opposite arguments lead you to the same exact unfavorable condition. If you read meaning into this thing, it doesn't even see Obi winning. He's seen the contest like a contest between Atiku and the incumbent.
Well, just like you said, from reports, Babachio appears to have been more sympathetic to the candidacy of Muhammad Hayatuddin than to Atiku Abubakar. But he did not officially endorse Hayatuddin. He did not, before resigning from the ADC. His main complaint was that the ADC primary was allegedly manipulated in Atiku's favor. Recall that, he did mention of Hayatuddin in passing, where he said a world-renowned and order, because we know Hayatuddin is an economist, banker, businessman, and public policy advocate. In fact, before joining the ADC race, he had contested for the presidential ticket of the PDP in 2022. He's known more for his corporate and economic background than for traditional partisan politics. That's for the Hayatuddin. Now, coming back to the primaries featured three major contenders: Atiku Abubakar, Rotimi Amechi, and Muhammad Hayatuddin. And we saw how Atiku was declared the winner after the primary. Hayatuddin alleged irregularities and procedural breaches, but later announced that he would not challenge the outcome in court, saying opposition unity was more important than personal ambition. Babashilawa said he could not remain in the party whose primary process he believed lacked credibility. We saw in that very post where he accused ADC leadership of manipulating the process to favor Atiku, and subsequently he resigned yesterday. But the talking point is, what was Babashilawa expecting before? What was he expecting before in a primary that featured one heavyweight and two weatherweight? What did he expect? But for me, Babashilawa was actually rooting for Obi, but he doesn't want to live the way, in fact, he doesn't want to follow Obi the way Obi left. He always considered himself the patriarch of northern Christian politics. That's Babashilawa. He considers himself the patriarch of northern Christians politics, and he felt that if Obi had consulted, I don't know if Obi consulted him, because from time immemorial during the 2023 general election he supported Obi openly. The moment he left APC over Muslim ticket, he was the one that started castigating Tinubu. Remember, he was once with Tinubu, but immediately Tinubu chose Chetima as the running mate. Babashilawa exploded. And for him, that the northern Christians have been severally and over time marginalized politically, and he would not have preferred a Fulani man. He said it in that post, that how many times has Atiku Abubakar condemned Fulani militia? That he has not, for once. That's what he said, and we have to verify if that statement is correct or not. That they are all one. But we saw Dele Momodu last night where he was saying that why would Babashilawa engage in ethnic profiling, because that's what Dele Momodu called that. And he reminded us that Atiku's physician, from the moment and from the time he had known Atiku, had always been an Igbo man. That Atiku is the most detribalized Nigerian, according to Dele Momodu. That he has an Hausa wife, he has a Yoruba wife, he has an Igbo wife, he has wife from different parts of the country. That if you come to Atiku's house, you will see most tribes from Nigeria being represented. That even his personal physician stays downstairs his building, and he's an Igbo man, one Azubike, according to Dele Momodu. I don't know those things. I have not seen a situation where your physician stays in the same building with you. Does it mean that you cannot live without your physician?
But is that how to identify somebody who is detribalized? Is that how to identify?
Well, it is not how. How? Because definitely, if you look at all the religious and ethnic bigots, they must have got somebody from another tribe or from another religion they work with. Somebody who may have also shared their ideas and also ideals, but for the fact that they are coming from such a background, it does not neutralize the fact that the person is not a bigot or not.
No, so this thing that Babashilawa wrote yesterday, because anybody who takes time to go through the letters he deployed, the person will see the kind of damage that he might have done. Let me read an extract, then the question comes. If you go to second paragraph, somewhere it says, I believe. Okay, let's start from. For me, working for Atiku means giving Tinubu an automatic ticket to a second term, which gives me nightmares. I believe Tinubu might, comparatively speaking, end up a better Nigerian president than Atiku could ever be. As bad as Tinubu currently is, and possibly could ever be, the choice in 2027, it seems, will be a Motown's fork. So, do you think that this is going to do damage to the presidential ambition of Atiku, knowing that this is coming from a northerner like him?
Well, for me, there are those that listen to Babashilawa, even when you believe that he may not be making a point. There are those that may listen to him. Yes, just like I said earlier on, that one can be a bigot, a tribal bigot, but can as well have friends from other tribes. It's possible. Friends that may share the same ideal or ideology he has. And for Babashilawa, I know very well that he seems that the northern Christians have been well persecuted, and he has made it known that he will not support any Fulani card. He was very clear about it, that how can these people be killing Nigerians? In fact, not all of them anyway. They are militia, because we have good ones. We have to be very careful here. We have good Fulanis. But for likes of David Babachilawa, for the fact that you have about 30,000, according to US report, about 30,000 Fulani militia, ravaging the entire country, and one of them wants to be the president, and we want to support them, and support him to be the president for what? For me, we have not gone into tribal politics, but you cannot remove tribalism from our politics as well, because that is the more reason why nobody from the southeast has ever been a president since after the Civil War. But the point remains that the Hayatuddin we are talking about, remember, he's also from Borno State. Whenever I see him talking, you know what comes to my mind? Somebody who must have migrated from Saudi Arabia, and that's what comes to my mind because of his look. But I'm also more sure that he's specifically from Bama. He has Bama is one of the tribes in Borno State. He's from Bama. That's where Hayatuddin is from. But looking around, I got to know that he's also a descendant of Shuab Arab extraction. Shuab Arab. So my thoughts, based on his look, is also, justifying in some accounts I've read that his forefathers moved from Arab. The point I'm trying to make. In fact, Baba Sholawa wouldn't have even supported him as well.
So is this the beginning of division within the opposition political party? Because what their intent was, it was for all of them to galvanize themselves under one platform and be able to give a formidable fight against the incumbents. But look at the way things are going. P2B has left ADC to go to NDC, and he's going to become the flag bearer of the party. Babachi Lawa has left ADC. He hasn't announced his destination. We have seen Rotimi Amechi condemn the primary of the ADC, though he hasn't announced that he's going anywhere. He might send the party. Then look at other parties too. We have two registered political parties, and each of them seem to be poised to take part in the presidential election. Like I mentioned initially, that 11 out of the 22 have completed the process of nominating the presidential candidate. So we have 11 of them now who have presidential flag bearer. I think two women already. YPP has a woman. I think NDP or thereabout also has a woman. I know some of them might be just like maybe placeholder, something of this very nature. So if you look at what's happening now in the camp of the opposition political parties, can you see the opposition, being able to muster that very formidable force to be able to give a good run to the incumbent in 2027?
I have said it many times that ADC, before now, we thought it was going to be that opposition, but that momentum seems to have gone from ADC. So ADC and NDC, they are not together. They are doing their thing separately. But the truth is, the issue of Babachi Olawa could have been the last straw that may break the last straw that may break the camel's back on the part of ADC. ADC has imploded long before now. Atiku, we are told, had met Amechi for Amechi to agree to be a running mate. We are told. But the question is, Amechi hasn't accepted. Yes, the day Amechi did his birthday, Atiku was in his house, pleading with Amechi to be his running mate. Amechi did not give him a definite answer. What does that tell you? But that's by the way. And let's quickly correct what Babachi Olawa said, because he said that Atiku has not condemned killings, banditry. There's a way he put it in that very write-up. But I can authoritatively say that Atiku has consistently condemned killings, kidnappings, terrorism, banditry, and attacks on communities. But he has also opposed the blanket ethnic labeling of all perpetrators as Fulani, because he argued that criminal responsibility should be individualized rather than assigned to an entire ethnic group. Because I remember when there was this abduction of over 100 residents in Borno State sometime around in March 2026. He condemned that very incident. He also condemned terrorist attack and abduction in Niger State in January 2026. I'm also aware that he condemned the worsening insecurity, kidnapping and banditry attacks in Kaduna and other parts of Nigeria. In fact, this recent abduction of school children in Oyo State, he has also condemned that. But he has not in any way accepted the fact that you must attach Fulani to any form of killings. No, he said, no, you don't do that. That killings should be treated as killings, not attaching any ethnic group to it. And that is where Baba Chilawa disagrees with him. Says you cannot talk about killings without profiling the killing. That in profiling the killing, it helps you understand better the nature of the killings and where the killings are coming from and how to deal decisively with it. But for Atiku, you don't do that. And he is saying this is the kind of person you want to be the president. So when he becomes the president, he will not profile any killing and sees it as killings, and these people will have momentum to go on. He has said his own, but there are some Nigerians that may buy such idea.
Okay, so at this point, we'll go for this very commercial, but once we return, we'll wrap up with cases of insecurity we have recorded across Nigeria in the past 24 hours, and then what is happening in Oyo State, because yesterday, Udala Fayose, he opened his mouth wide and accused the governor of Oyo State of being the mastermind of the abduction of the school children in that very state. Stay with us.
Udala Radio, 104.7 FM.
Julie, these people take too much for your face now, no?
Oh boy, I don't tire. Even the rashes and eczema for my body, if you see them, you go run. I don't try every soap and cream, but you know, Greek comot.
No worry, when you take MSC Calskin C cream Hamaram, then go comot by force.
You say waiting, MLC Calskin C cream?
Bam! That be the new formula for take fight pimples, rashes, eczema, dandruff, boils, whitlow, ringworm, scabies, shaving rashes, foot rots and more. Just clean the affected part with soap and sponge and rub the cream to enter the skin wella 3 to 4 times per daily, and everything will disappear within 3 days. Fiam! Now product of Johnco Ventures Nigeria Limited, number 7 AZ Huaku Street, Weber Layouts, off kilometer 7 on Onisha Aweri Road, Onisha. Phone 08033941979 or
09136855119.
MSC Caskin C Cream, War Against Skin Infections, African Gold Award winner 2011.
Udala Radio, 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
Okay, thank you for staying tuned to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. You are listening to our political program this very morning. My name is Franklin Ebekatuno Disambeki is on the analysis desk, and we told you about development in Oyo State, what Udala Fayose, former governor of the state, said yesterday. And I think it's better for us to hear from the horse's mouth before we get to wrap up, and then connect with the Benjamin, because he has a report from the local government.
Branch to Oyo State, very quickly, by this. I want to say to you, before you get to the president in the hierarchy of leadership and governance, there is local government, there is states. States have security votes. They have people that are supposed to be working. They have Amotekun. They have all sorts of names. But when you ask governors now, they will say, we are not chief security officers. That is incorrect. That was why I was giving an example of myself. And I want to say to you, in your state, I have strong belief, I may be wrong, that this sometimes can be orchestrated. The governor of your state had his nomination, the nomination of his candidate in the face of this abduction. He did not take any action. No steps were taken. It was after all those nominations that he went to the family to visit them, that he brought somebody out, started crying, the husband of one of the women. It is sad. I can sometimes believe that This was orchestrated in a way, I'm not saying totally, by the government of Oyo State to blackmail President Tinubu in a way. At the same time,
but that will be...
Okay, so what do you think? Is this politics taken too far, or perhaps he said something that needs to be looked into?
For me, this is politics. We know where he's coming from. We know his standpoint, especially when it comes to issue of politics in Nigeria. He is with Wike. They are people who are in PDP supporting APC. And he has been against Chei Makinde. And I did say this the other day, that Chei Makinde could be fingered as one orchestrating all this because of the politics he has been playing with the president. He declared his ambition to run for the president under APM. And we saw it at that time. And he said that PDP structure would also work with APM to see that they fix Mr. President. But you can look at it reverse, in a reverse gear. He is saying that, according to Ayodele Fayose, that Makinde could have done this to paint the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu bad, especially when it comes to issue of security. Now, election is fast approaching. That is one. Makinde camp is saying that APC government may have also implanted this in his home state to diminish his either skill or whatever credential he has to lead this country, that he cannot. How can he be able to secure the entire country? I don't know if you understand me. So it can go both ways. But these things are, for me, politics. We are playing politics with insecurity. We are politicizing insecurity in this country. From the two camps. From the two camps, it is important that So from the two camps, all about accusations and counter accusations, and no one knows the intent behind it. So we are now trying to use what happened in Oyo State to make certain extrapolations about the 2027 election. The two fishes, they are all out for presidential election. Makinde has declared his ambition to run. President President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a candidate of APC. And I think the candidate of APM could be Makinde. And now this incident happened. Fayose has come out to accuse Makinde of orchestrating it to paint the administration of Tinubu bad in area of security. But that's not the only incident. If you think Makinde has done the one of Oyo State, what about the one of Plateau State? What about the one of Borno State? What about the one of Benue State? What about the one in other places in Nigeria? Would this alone diminish other security breaches we have had? It cannot. But he said is his personal belief. He's not saying for sure. He's not saying for fact. He is not in any way ruling out facts. He says it is his belief. That is politics. And possibly Makinde on their own part has said some things. And he asked the important question, why would Makinde make such visitation some days after the incident had happened? You also asked the same question in part of the president. Mr. President released press statement on this issue after some days. But I said the two governments, the federal government, the central government, that's what I wish to call them, the central government and the sub-national government in Oyo State, they did not act well. They did not act properly. They did not act swiftly. They did not at all. it took them days before they can even come out to own up to this issue. And by then, these children, they are very little. They must have stayed for some days in the bushes.
Let's quickly take this very report from Ben regarding the ongoing voter registration. So, Ben, can you tell us where you are right now so that we can wrap up on this?
Okay. Good morning once again, gentlemen in the studio. Good morning, Mr. Frank. Right now, I am in Onitsha North Local Government Headquarters. And the situation here is that the ongoing voters registration exercise is in progress. Right here, I can see a good number of persons who are here, but the challenge so far is that there is slow network challenge here, even in the bank on POS generally, because it's the same network they are using. So that very network has slowed down the process. There are a good number of people right here.
Okay, so how many INEC officials do we have that are doing this registration?
So far now, there are about 5 INEC officials on the ground at the headquarters here doing the registration.
So the turnout, what is it like? Do we have a good number of persons who are out there to have this registration done?
Yes, we actually, in fact, if you go to Onitsha South, most of the attitude over there, so their phones are being taken off from them, because the process is that you have to use your phone to put up your biometrics. Then, so that when you now do that, you come to the next level, they only capture you, so it becomes easier for them. So some people over there in Onitsha South, when someone asks them to bring forward their phone, you discover that the person always prefers the phone away. So most people are here for this very exercise. There are 2 batch of people here: those who are inputting their biometrics, and those who have already done that, and those who are on the verge of doing that, but there is network challenge.
Okay, so could you confirm when the INEC officials arrived? Because I got a report that some persons were there by 9:30, but they didn't see any INEC official there.
Okay, so far so good. As of 8 o'clock, in fact 8:45, they're already here. The INEC officials, they're already here doing their work.
Okay, so that'll be all, Ben. Thank you for the report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Frank.
All right. Okay, so that's the report. We also have to follow up on INEC to ensure that they do what they're supposed to do. So for now, we're going to open the phone lines for you to join the conversation. 0803-221-6973 or 0803-827-6694. We have brought before you a good number of things for us to look at this very morning. And you can as well join this very conversation by going to our Facebook page, Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Drop your comment on that very page. Good morning.
Hello. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Tony Risanbeki.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Chudi from Enugu.
Go on, Mr. Chudi.
Let me start by condemning I could remember there was a time when the Southeasterners were condemning the load dogs by the police, because for we it's not good, because they once you get to the checkpoint, they will drill you, insult you, give you all kinds of names. So I guess that was the situation the bandits find so for them to do their bidding. So for me, if the police can come out and say that there will be no road blocks or anywhere in the country, I think that will do a good to the Nigerians when it comes to that stop and start kidnapping. Then let me say this concerning what happened in Oyo State. Dr. Tony, you remember someone says that if you try to put stand or mouth in his matter, then he will fuel your state. I think that person is staying in Abuja and nothing has happened. I guess what happened in Oyo State can be linked to what he said because two of them are fighting for the head of the one party in Nigeria. Thank you, and God bless.
All right. Okay. Thank you for joining. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. Thank you. Your name?
Honorable, there is the mayor of AP, Okulolo Chendon. Can I go on?
Yes, you can go on.
Go on.
Yes, let me first of all say very sorry to the family of the deceased men. Then I want